Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, folks. Michael Zuber, one rental at a time, back with our newest expert and somebody that's quickly becoming a fan favorite, Beth Traverso. How you doing, Beth?
Hey, doing great, Michael. Thanks so much for having me back here. Always a highlight of my day. Thank you.
I appreciate it. For folks that don't know you, Beth, you are a top 1% agent broker in the country. Let them remind them what market you serve, and let's talk about what's going on because everybody's real estate market seems to be changing week by week.
Yes, it's interesting. It is week by week. I operate in the Seattle market,
So
and it is
a median price is like 1.3.
median price on the east side where I am is 1.3, and in the King County, our whole area, including Seattle, is about 900 right now.
Okay,
So
so
higher than typical.
very
Yeah.
good. So what are you seeing this week?
Yeah, so it is interesting how you mentioned every week changes, because I really do see the people that are in the thick of it. We see the shifts before they're almost imperceptible changes in the wind,
Mhm.
and by the time the numbers come out, we've often moved past that. So what
Yeah.
I'm seeing is it is interesting what happened in August. We're already moving forward and looking at what's happening and adjusting day by day. And it's been really interesting. I was chatting with my team yesterday. We do a Monday morning uh, Zoom meeting where we catch up on everything and what's happened over the weekend, etc. And what I've been seeing is a lot of mixed messages. So we're really it's kind of confusing because I'm seeing this combination of return of the bidding war, and I know people may not want to hear
Really?
that, and I'm sorry, it may not fit the narrative that people want, but I got to call it like
Wow.
I see it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's interesting, but it's not every house, and so it's almost like that was last week, and
Okay.
now this week it's been very quiet. So it's this mixed message of what exactly is going on here. Are we following this track
So let me
or
poke at that a
following
little
this
bit.
track?
Let me
Yeah.
poke at that a little bit. So again, I don't know your market at all. I watch my little market of Fresno, California, and then the country.
Yeah.
And again, it's very interesting because I actually let me ask you this question first. A lot of the markets I work in, they're very influenced by interest rates, right? First time home buyers, they're doing 3.5% down. I don't get the feeling that happens at a 1.3, median price. I'm guessing.
No, people can afford to do what they want to do. It's just a matter, I think, of almost the psychology of how do they feel about it.
Mm, yeah, because they're putting big downs
They're
or even
putting big
cash.
down. A lot of them can pay cash if they want to. They're just
Right.
wondering, do we want to hold our cash? Do
Yeah.
we
What's
want
a
to
better
spend our
return on?
cash?
Yeah. What's a better
Do we want
return?
to cash in our stock or leave the stock?
Yeah. How are we
There's
feeling about all of these
I
pieces,
think
right?
it's very much emotional, and we are starting to see a lot of more head things that we've been talking about, that you've been talking about forever.
Yeah.
Now the public at large that doesn't follow these things day by day, it's like right there in their face. Yeah, and they have to acknowledge it and
Mm,
make decisions based upon that. They're, how do we feel about the
yeah.
future? How do we feel about buying right now?
Yeah. So okay. So now back to my question. Because again, you gave this to me, right? You told me in June your market tanked 50% transactions when rates ticked over 6% for that little window.
Yes, it did.
And then we all know, or at least most of us should know by now, rates backed up all the way down to sub 5 for a minute. And that's what I think was going on last week is you had the last buyers who got rate locks and they saw rates jump. They're like, God, I have to go or I'm going to lose my lock, right? I think that is what may have happened. And now people are looking, I don't know if you saw it today, but the 30-year mortgage is now almost 3.4 or 6.4, right?
6.4. Oh, I hadn't
Yeah.
seen that.
We
Yesterday
we
it was, yeah,
we blew by 6.3, it was 6.28, then 6.31, now 6.4, right?
yeah.
It's going the wrong way.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we talked last week. I think it ultimately goes over 7.
I know you've been saying that, and I'm
Sorry.
interested to see if that comes to be. But I think that's my thought too. It's like, okay, 2 weeks ago, we had a lot of people that all of a sudden, or a week before, not even 2 weeks ago, let's say
Mhm.
10 days ago, people were
Right.
still in this rush to get in, inventory very, very low. I saw multiple offers on some of my listings that I wasn't expecting, or very fast sale. We had a bunch of upset buyers agents and buyers that thought they had all the time in the world, and then, wow, what do you mean it's pending already? Something got snatched up. Even I took over an expired listing that didn't sell before. It wasn't my expired listing, it was someone else's. We repackaged it, relaunched it, and it went pending almost instantly. And that was interesting because
Yeah.
that's not what we would typically expect to see based upon what's been happening over the summer, where it's
Hmm.
been very, very quiet with lots of price reductions.
Hmm.
So What I'm seeing now is it seems like some houses are still mostly on the Seattle side of things, not my area, but in Seattle, for whatever
Mhm.
reason over there, things are popping a little more. In our area, we do this thing called an offer review date. And
Mhm.
that's sort of my temperature gauge of what's happening on the market is, are they setting offer review dates? And are
Okay.
those, because what we do in our area when things were really crazy, we would make people wait 4 or 5 days to give it full market exposure. And then on Tuesday or whatever day you choose, that's the day we're gonna negotiate an offer and pick one. And
Right.
then so I'm starting to see that start to come back a little bit, but
Oh,
not
interesting.
really that much. But I'll know for sure that things are shifting back in sellers' favor once we start seeing, because if things start going pending in two,
Yeah.
3 days with multiple offers, the first thing that's going to happen is the review date will be back.
Okay. So I
Not
see
quite
it.
seeing that yet, but then
Yeah.
now this interest rate thing is just threw another monkey
Monkey
wrench in the
wrench. Mhm.
works. And I really do believe that's what happened, because now this week, all of a sudden, it's just been a lot more quiet as far as showings and
Yeah. So
not
the
seeing as many bidding wars.
Yeah. So again, I think it's amazing how many markets are interest rate sensitive, even if you're in a market where people pay cash. Because again, you're right; it is an opportunity cost. Do I want to sell my tech stock at a low value because I know it'll be higher next year, or do I want to use some of it or all of it? It's just everybody makes these individual decisions. So the other thing I'm interested about your market is um, expires and cancellations. Probably cancellations for me is the most interesting because I think there's a lot of people that came on at wish pricing, at least in many markets, that are now realizing they can't sell it at what they needed to sell it or wanted to sell it. So they're going to take it off and wait till March, wait till April. Have you seen cancellation spike or not really your market?
I wouldn't say it's spiked, but I definitely have noticed in the last 2 weeks. We talked about this a few weeks ago, and at that time I was like, yeah, when
Not
people are
really.
canceling, they're relisting. It's just more of an indication of what's being relisted at
Mm-hmm.
a lower price. It was more of an indication of price drops. People have a decision. They're like, we can either price it where it sells today or pull it and try again later. So
Right.
I am starting to see, I always check now when I see it canceled, because I'm looking in my market at my little my real estate agent buy box. I'm watching
Mm-hmm.
every day, as well as my investor one. And so I'm looking in there and I'm saying, okay, here's all the ones that canceled today.
Mm-hmm.
Or did they relist or not?
Right.
And I'm seeing probably about half of them, maybe 40% of them relisting, but the others are not relisting. So that's a little different.
Yeah, that was
People
different
are
because
giving up.
I remember you saying it was 2 weeks ago. It was like 70-30 the other way. It was a
Mm-hmm.
way of getting a price drop and getting it to the top of the list. Now you're saying 60-40 the other way. They're just
It's flipped around a little
yeah.
bit, where I think a lot of, so our market is a little different in the seasonality, where we pop in January.
Oh,
I know it's
interesting.
weird
It's weird.
compared to other areas, but we get slow in the summer and we jump in January. For me, is what the month I'm most curious to see in 2023, because for me
Okay.
that's going to set the tone of the whole year.
Okay.
If it's crickets, then I'm going to be really concerned, so
Yeah.
for what's going
And
to happen.
then the last thing for your market, every market has a median price. Where are you seeing the most action? And really, actually, it'll be a part A, part B. So most actions from listings. Are you seeing lots of stuff below the median or lots of stuff above the median? Is it a different trend than before? What are you seeing? If you don't know, it's okay.
Yeah, so it's interesting. I'm seeing below the median slower than I would have expected.
Okay.
And that's a really interesting thing that I'm puzzling, trying to tease out the psychology or what the influencing factors are of that. Maybe they
Mm-hmm.
are more interest rate impacted, those buyers
Okay.
potentially.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm seeing a lot of more inventory of first time home buyers than I would expect.
So you're
Um,
seeing more inventory
more.
below the median, but
Mhm.
you're also seeing less demand below the median.
Correct. And what I'm
Interesting.
seeing is the move up market, which is right around the median for us. Like right around that median is kind of the move up where we are.
Okay.
And just so happens to be. And what I'm seeing is more activity there because the listings dropped a lot in that
That's
median,
interesting.
like in my area, maybe around, like say like around 1.2, 1.1 to 1.3.
Mm-hmm.
We had an oversupply for several months, and the prices dropped. Those houses were selling for up to 1.6 with bidding wars earlier in the year. Now they're going for list price if we're lucky.
Okay.
So that compensates for a lot of interest rate
Sure.
impact,
Mm-hmm.
so the correction was made. One thing I can say is I am proud of our collective market here, in that I like to just rip the band-aid off, and like if we're gonna have a correction, let's just
Get
do
it
it
over
now
with.
and move
Yeah.
on. And they did it. People were like, okay, here's what we got to do. Everyone, and a lot of the sellers that I talked to, if they give them the right coaching of here's what's happening, everybody seems to have gotten the message by now. It's like, all right, what's it going to take to sell this house now? Here's what we got to do.
Cool.
Set the expectations, and people for the most part are taking those. There's a few out there that are just insane still, where I wonder, what are these people thinking?
What are they thinking?
Price,
Yeah.
where it's like, yeah, their house is the most special house and theirs is worth more, and
yeah, it's
bless
special.
them. But
Yeah.
there's a little bit of that. But I'm seeing more of those move up buyers. There's still some people out there that just want to live their lives, and it seems
Yeah.
like with the drop in inventory and that demand still being there, granted not what it was, people kind of like they maybe toyed with the idea of not moving for a while, but now like the discomfort is getting greater and they want to do it, and they financially can. I think it might be one of the differences here is like, I
Right.
don't think there's an affordability issue in our area
Yeah.
for the typical buyer.
So
That makes a difference.
the last question is about the sellers, right? Specifically the move up, like the now 1.3 was 1.6. I want to talk about those sellers. Those sellers, again, your opinion is fine. What are they doing? Are they buying something else in the area, or are they leaving the state? Any idea on the split?
So the typical seller profile for me is somebody who's leaving the state
Okay.
to be with family. They may have lived in that house for 25 years. I get a lot of these people that have been in the same home for a very long time. Part of their retirement plan is to sell and move elsewhere, and they're taking their equity, which is a huge amount of their
Big
retirement
number.
for a lot of them. For a lot of them, that is their retirement, is their equity in that house, and they're gonna sell it and roll it into something else or move to be with family somewhere else, whether they're retired or not. And if the market that they're moving into, like I was talking to somebody yesterday who's looking to move into a part of Arizona, and like, okay, your house is not going to sell for what it would have, but also where they're purchasing is a similar situation.
Yeah.
So if it's a lateral move, it's kind of like, well, okay, at least you don't have to deal with the insanity on the buying side that maybe they would have had dealt with. And they don't want to postpone their retirement or being around for their grandkids, or living their dream, whatever that is. That's a compelling thing that's hard to give up. So that's what I'm seeing. The people that are selling, that's their scenario. And oftentimes they don't have to sell. There's very few people that really got to do a sale, whether it's from like an estate or a divorce or something like that. We get those sometimes, but most of them are just people that want to move on to their next phase in life.
Yeah, the have to sells, or actually it's the want to sells. Those are the people. I think we're going to talk about this in video number 2. I think as we get into the winter, your market may be different because your seasonality is a little different. I think a lot of people are going to put it on the shelf till March. It's like, okay, we missed it. It's winter. Let's chill. Let's have Christmas one more time here. We'll listen to spring. So, Beth, if somebody wanted to buy or sell in your amazing market, how would they reach out or follow you?
Thanks. Yeah, they can find me on my website, BethTraversogroup.com, or just Google my name, Beth Traverso, and all sorts of stuff will pop up. You can find me on social media, etc.
Awesome. Thanks, Beth.
Thank you.